Mike Pence has used his first major foreign policy speech to reassure allies that Donald Trump does support NATO. Just weeks after the president called the military alliance obsolete, Mr. Pence told a security conference in Munich that America's commitment to it was unwavering. But he also made it clear that the White House expected NATO members to increase their spending on defense. Well, following all the events for us in Munich is our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucette. Over to you, Lise.
Yes, well, Vice President Mike Pence, who's on his first foreign trip outside the United States since becoming President Trump's deputy, has now left this luxury hotel behind us where he's been addressing the top diplomats and defense ministers from across Europe and beyond. His was very much a charm offensive, the first major policy address by the Trump team since they came to office. And he was here really to send a more reassuring message that America will still be sticking to more traditional policies when it comes to support for NATO, when it comes to relations with Russia, never mind what has already been said in a contradictory style by President Trump himself. But how much were European leaders convinced? NATO exercises in Poland, a show of strength to counter what many see as a growing threat from Russia. Massive deployment of US military might in Europe underlines how America has been the predominant power in NATO since the end of the Second World War. Now there's a US president who's called this alliance obsolete. So at this Munich forum, anticipation and anxiety about what message President Trump's deputy would bring here. What we were most looking for were the messages coming out from the leading members of President Trump's team, including Vice President Mike Pence. Everyone says they've been reassured by what he had to say about the transatlantic alliance and the belief in NATO. There's so much relief here about what you had to say. Doesn't that make you worry that Europe was worried about your commitment to the transatlantic alliance and to NATO?
I think President Trump has made it clear that the United States stands strongly with the North Atlantic Alliance. We strongly support NATO, but the President's also made it clear that we expect our allies to keep their word, to live up to the commitments that they've made for our common defense.
There was a strong message to Russia, too, a warning it would be held accountable for its actions, despite President Trump's talk of a warmer relationship. Moscow's top diplomat accused the West of being stuck in a Cold War mentality.
The
historic period that can be called the post-Cold War order has now come to an end. The main result, in our view, has been the failure of institutions to adapt.
Then, within hours, Mr. Lavrov announced a new truce in Ukraine between government forces and Russian-backed separatists. There's skepticism as ceasefire will hold, but Washington's message is now clear. Without progress, there will be no lifting of Russian sanctions. Tonight, as the Vice President headed out, he left behind some reassurance for Europe's leaders. But there's still that uncertainty, whether what's been said here is also the view of the Oval Office. And now that the Vice President has left, European leaders are assessing not just the message that's been left behind, but the messenger too, asking whether Vice President Pence is really part of President Trump's inner circle. And for all of the carefully crafted speeches that were delivered here, they're still asking, what are they going to read on Twitter tomorrow?
Lise Doucette from Munich, thank you very much for that. Let's go to Florida now, because after 4